Financial wellness. Reach out to them for advice at 855-DON-GINO. And now back to your hosts, Don Getling and Gino Franti.
You thanks to the interviews that we do with our professionals. And I know you talked about APRG a little bit earlier, but really working with the members of APRGs, because I sound like Hair Club for Men, but we're not only are we partners with these people, but we also are their clients. And
we're users.
We're users. Yeah, I mean, Carlos Villalobos Insurance Agency, right? Chris Ingram, which we're going to talk a little bit more about, right? Our financial planner.
Ingram Financial Solutions.
Yeah, Steve Korn, U-Haul Escrow, of course, always using U-Haul Escrow for a lot of our real estate transactions. And today,
Esmond Law he's our bankruptcy specialist. We've got Reap Rickett, the #1 family law attorneys in town, without a doubt.
Yeah, we have college planning. Gosh, who doesn't need college planning?
Yes. So we have it all, and you can check out all this at aprgi.com.
So I'm going to dig into Chris's world a little bit today, right? Because that
this is fun stuff.
Yeah, well, financial planning is kind of like a hobby for me. Some of our best friends are in that field, and I really enjoy it. And working with Chris has been great because Chris and I have an interesting exchange because, like I tell him, I know just enough to be dangerous. So we
story of your life,
pretty much.
Yeah, it's like just enough karate to get your butt kicked.
Pretty much. But it's nice. We have great conversations, and the things that we talk about. Like, for example, if you've been following junk bonds, right? We had a nice conversation about junk bonds yesterday, and you say, "What do you mean junk bonds?" Well, junk bonds are high-risk bonds that produce high yields. So, in some portfolios, if you have a little bit too much of that, you're probably scared right now. You're probably in a little bit of trouble because there's been a runoff in junk bonds right now, and there was
in the energy sector, but big time.
The energy sector has been getting hammered.
We're talking oil. It's really exciting for all of us, and thank you for teeing that up, Gino. I love it. And I know you'll chime in on this because you're really good about this stuff. But what's really cool is you got to understand the effects of something like we're watching oil go down to the low 30s now, some of the lowest we've ever seen, and we're enjoying seeing it at the pump. We're below $3 on the pump finally, and it's exciting. But the oil industry, believe it or not, they need $75.
I was just going to say, that's bad news.
For a lot of people that have jobs in the oil sector. For a while, they were creating the most jobs.
Yeah.
Three out of 4 jobs was created in the oil industry. Now that we're below $75, they're running out of money.
Yeah. So, and the only reason they've done so well so far is that they had taken some hedges. They had taken some loans, and they had borrowed enough money to float them out through the down cycle of this price war, so to speak, that we have with going on with the Middle East. That's really what this is, guys. This is a price war with the Middle East over crude oil. Yeah. And ultimately what it is we're going to see who can hang in there the longest, continuing to oversupply. One of the things not a lot of people know is that the U.S. doesn't produce the same type of crude oil as what's produced in the Middle East, and ultimately so we can't continue to fight this fight because we don't produce the same type of oil. So at the end of the day, at the end of this cycle, for survival of the oil industry, which it has to because of our consumption, there's no way that it doesn't survive, we have to go back up to $75 to $80 a barrel. That's really what has to happen. So this is a blip, and this is why Don's excited about it. It creates opportunity for all of us right now.
So when you see the volatility in the market, a lot of you go, I hate that. So if you have your money just sitting there, basically in your 401k or something else, and that's all you're investing in, it's very boring and doesn't excite you. We were working with Ingram Financial Solutions, who, by the way, Gino just called me right before the show and says, I have 3 stocks you might want to look into because I love these, and here's why. It's exciting. We actually talk on a regular basis about opportunities, which is motivating Gino and I and a few others here at Skyline Homes to continually invest more because we're engaged, we're involved. We get to, and it's more fun because now I can say, you take your kids to Disneyland and go, kids, we're part owners of this. We're part owners of Disney. When Star Wars comes out, you can say, hey, we're part owners of that.
Yep.
It's exciting. It's fun. You're involved, whether it's Starbucks or Foot Locker or MasterCard or whatever. You're involved in these things, and you get to watch it, and you're engaged, and Chris Ingram helps us a lot with that. So we suggest working with a professional that is involved.
So one of the things I want to bring up, and this kind of brings us into why the Fed raised rates, is inflation.
Yes.
Right. And what a lot of people don't think about is people talk about gold being a hedge for inflation, and that's true. And people talk about real estate being a hedge for inflation, and that's absolutely true. One of the best hedges for inflation.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
However,
when prices go up, that's your house going up, and if it's going down on a $500,000 house, that's a lot of money.
yeah, and I don't know about when you were growing up, but the stock market was probably at 6, Don. No, but honestly, I mean, I remember when I was growing up, I think it was under 2,000.
Yeah.
And then so if you think about it being at 17,000, the Dow today, do you think that's a hedge against inflation? Do you think that stocks grow with inflated dollars? So, it's the stock market, real estate, anything that's not in liquid cash is a way to hedge yourself against inflation. And inflation's got to be a real concern going forward for our country.
Okay, so thinking about inflation, that's why they've raised interest rates is to help curb inflation. This is what the Fed watches. Their goal is to keep inflation between 2% and 2.5%. So just so you know, and as of January, we're at 1.6%. Not even close. That's why they weren't even thinking about raising it. The inflation is checked up to 2% as of November, which is right on the cusp of their goal. So they're going to start taking action. Now, one of the key things that we have to bring up, we got a minute and a half. One thing we have to bring up is they're going to really push, including the current administration, is going to push how unemployment's down to 5%. But just so you know, that is not a true 5%. They call that full employment. But that the 5% has come down because so many people have left the job market. So just so you know, that 5% is not real.
No, it's not real at all. I mean, there's that's only looking at the U1 number. There's U2, U3, U4, U5, U6. There's a lot.
I like U2.
You like U2.
I love that group.
Yeah. So that's not a real number. So that's something to keep an eye on. But what's nice is this moderate move by the Fed of raising a quarter may prevent us from having to make extreme rises in the future. I think so. Was it early? Maybe a little early. Maybe the economy's not quite where it needs to be to start raising rates. But if we can gradually raise rates, it'll be nice for our economy.
Okay, that's the key to this whole thing as we close out today is that what's nice is things are moving in a gradual pace. The cost, all inflation basically, the cost of your goods, the cost of homes, interest rates, and so forth. But we're going to suggest you take action today because there's no doubt that interest rates will be rising, long-term interest rates will be rising. Home prices are rising. They're projected to rise in California 10% next year. Please take action today, whether it's buying your first home, buying your next home, refinancing to take care of debt, whatever it is, take action today. All right, you can reach out to us anytime at donandgino@gmail.com. That's DONANDGINO.com.
855 Don Gino rings both of our cell phones simultaneously at the same time. You probably get Don.
So reach out to us, and we'd love you to do that. Thank you for joining us every Saturday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. On AM 1220 KHTS. We love being with you. Have a great holiday weekend, and we'll have our Christmas special next week. So enjoy and be good humans.